Good. We're public. Sorry, you guys got to watch me tune. How exciting! so let's see. Yeah, we're gonna go to open tuning. I'll explain the demixolydian in a little bit. Let's get some people here going. Oh, we got 10 people already. That's awesome. Analytics. Okay. Dennis, good to see you. Hope your weekend was good. Mine was good. I was going to play you can see it behind me, the Dan Electro. The strings are just too ding-dang old. And when I was dragging the slide across it, it was like nails on a chalkboard. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to put up with that, and I don't expect you guys to. So, let's see. I am bummed that hey, Stephen, good to see you. Snake Dart, Switzerland. Awesome. You look new. Maybe you're just now announcing your presence, but welcome. And we're going to be talking about open G tuning today. I'm in standard right now, so get your guitar in standard so we can tune it down together. Hopefully you have a tuner. I just got this Snark tuner. It's kind of cool. It's got this kind of matte black thing going on. So like the other Snark tuner, which this one's kind of dead, the battery's dead. So you can see this one's glossy looking, and then this one is really cool. It's flat, black, It's like the Batmobile. And I don't know if this is the one with this is the one that has the metronome in it. And it was like $1 more than the one that doesn't. So I'll put a link for this one down here. I'll also grab I need to do a tuner video. I have so many different tuners. Like this is one I hate. I have to say, I really hate the Planet Waves one because it just doesn't, you can't really adjust the angle. Like that's not a good angle to see anything. You kind of got to turn your head. And also it wouldn't go on a lot of headstocks. It's just kind of weird. I don't know. I hate to diss anybody, but nobody's paying me anything. Snark's not paying me squat. But if you buy it through this link, let's see, Snark Tuner. Now I get like, I don't know, 3-5%, something like that. So it's super tight. Yeah, I think it's the super tight. Yeah. All instrument tuner. Tap tempo metronome. It's like, what? I mean, it's just so cool. I mean, it's $20. That's pretty darn good for a clip-on tuner, to be honest. Copy. Okay, so here's the link for that. So if you want to support the cause, get me I don't know, what's 3% of $20? 60 cents. So, I'm in the money. I'm in the money. Okay, and then here's the I've got a new diagram that I'm going to upload in a second. I'm really proud of, but I want to spring it on you. I want it to be a surprise, so I didn't put it on this screen yet. Let's see, but here's the Discord. I should do Twitch. I do have a Twitch account. I wonder if I could live stream at the same time on Twitch. The only thing is I don't know how to monetize Twitch. Maybe I should create I don't know. I think if I just go on Twitch, I'm going to set this link to not expire. So this is, if you're new and you want to see all the homework and paperwork that I create, I upload to the Discord. This discussion continues. Also, Snake, everybody's going to say hi, by the way. You're going to get a lot of highs right now. You're not going to get high. I said you're going to get a lot of highs. A lot of people are going to say hi. Jay Baker, good to see you. Oh, get out. You got your 6-string banjo in G tuning. That's a great idea. Yeah, and you can do this on acoustic or electric. It doesn't really matter. And then Louisville. Yeah, I would be in Louisville this week. I'm so bummed. I sent a message to all my buddies that we would hang out, and I'm not a drinker. I never drank until my dad died, which is ironic in some ways because my dad was a drinker. But I started out by having, on his birthday, after he died, I would have a martini. I think I told the story the first time I did that. My dad always got a gin martini. And I used to work as a sound man at a bar, so I knew a little bit of the lingo, right? I thought, oh yeah, I'm cool, So I sit down at the bar at one of my favorite restaurants in Pasadena, And I'm always sitting at the bar, so that's no big deal because you can order food there, and then they just fill my Diet Cokes or whatever. But I was sitting at the bar, and the bartender, I said, "Hey, I want to get a martini." She goes, "Oh, really? You do?" She was like, kind of surprised. She goes, "What do you want?" I said, "A gin martini." And she goes, "What kind of gin?" And I said, the well gin, which is the cheap stuff. And she goes, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Yeah, And because I just thought, I didn't know it was the cheap stuff. So, and I didn't know there was a difference. So she makes this martini and then watches me take a sip, and it tasted like turpentine. And I'm like, "How did my dad do this?" She goes, "It's not very good, is it?" She goes, I said, "No." She goes, "Let me make you another one." And I'm not a big martini drinker. It's not like, but my dad was. And he always gave me his olives. So I always got that taste of gin, I guess. I always thought martinis were vodka, but he would do a gin martini. So, yeah, we're doing Keith Richards, although Keith Richards oftentimes would remove his low G or low E string. Because that string kind of becomes irrelevant. It just becomes another string you have to mute. I don't really use it very often. I mean, I could use it, but yeah, Keith Richards would definitely do that. Sorry, for the newbies here, I do take a little bit of time to welcome people and kind of before I start getting into the meat of the lesson, which may or may never happen, I don't know. And we're going to probably spend at least 2 lessons on this open G tuning because initially we just want to work with it. Maybe do a lesson or just kind of introduction to it. Tune the guitar. We may even tune the guitar back and then back down again, just to practice doing that. If that's a new concept. Also, because we can get into more licks later. Like on Wednesday or something, we could do more licks. And then on Friday, what I could do is show you some tricks because I love Sonny Landreth, and he is so good in open G. It drives me insane. And I picked up a couple things from him. I don't remember I think I figured it out myself. I could be wrong on that. Yeah, I could be wrong on that, but it's a really cool trick that he does, and so you can have a lot of fun with it. He builds entire songs around it. So yeah, open G is the key of Keith. Let's see. So we got a pretty good showing. Everybody showed up on time. We got 19, not bad. 6 likes already. Feel free to hit that like button. I know there's not much to like yet, but you can hit the like button in faith. And then, you know what I need to do too is another thing is I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. It drives me crazy that YouTube puts in 1 billion ads on these videos, and I have to go and delete them all. I mean, I put an ad in every 30 seconds, but they put an ad in every 5 minutes or more. Like if I go to Friday's lesson and click on monetization and then go down to maybe they didn't do it before doing the video. Manage. Did they not do it? All right, cool. They didn't do it this time. That's good news. I don't know what I changed. So I was apologizing unnecessarily. So I'm just inserting a few, like every 30 minutes I put a little ad break in, and they're probably skippable ads. So, I don't feel too bad about that. But my revenue is waning, and it's not your fault. It's mainly because of my #1 video, which generated, 75% of my revenue, which is always bad in every job and career and everything to have all your eggs in one basket. But it was, and good to see you, Jay. Jay Baker, and AJ's here, and Bruce is here, and Roger's here. John, I already saw you. Dennis. Let's see, Bob Schumann, you were first, I think, right? Yep, you were first. Jim Horst is in the house. Stephen Stout. I did feel the earthquake the other day. My wife didn't. She slept right through it. I didn't know it was an earthquake. I just thought she was shaking her leg like a dog or something. She never does that. I do that. I'll be like, and it never makes her think it's an earthquake. But and I'm just laying in bed reading the news on my phone and stuff. After about 15 minutes, I thought, I wonder if that was an earthquake. That's weird, because she hasn't, I don't know. And so I just got on Facebook. That's where you can, and everybody's like, did you feel that earthquake? It wasn't bad here, but it was pretty bad in Pasadena. I heard it was in El Monte. They downgraded to 4.8. I think at one point they said 5.1, but it wasn't 5.1. It was 4.8 or 4.5. So it wasn't too bad. I should do my warm up. Oh, I'm not looking forward to this one. Yeah, this is my, and I'm doing it in the worst spot too, on the first fret. This is the finger independence exercise. And then the last one is the 2 outside. I won't make you do it because I don't want you to get hurt. This is the great one for the pinky. It's ironic that I'm doing exercises when we're just going to be playing slide, because you don't really need to have dexterity. Okay, so let's talk about this. I'm going to be in Snake. You are new. Tom does live stream every day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Well, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I used to do it every day. Okay, and we have a drinking game too. Yes. No. We're gonna actually. I'm in standard right now, so That's the first thing I'm going to talk about is tuning to open G. And yeah, so we have a drinking game, so have libations handy. If I touch my face, we take a sip. If I, not a shot, but a sip. If I refer to myself in the third person, that's not going to happen. If I use air quotes, which probably will happen. If I say there won't be a quiz on this, and that will probably happen today, but the thing I'm going to show you, the magic thing that I created last week that I'm excited to show you. It's just a diagram, but I'm a nerd, so the thing that I created to show you, I want to say there won't be a quiz on it, but at the same time, I really kind of want you to learn this. So it'll be kind of that. It'll be in the middle ground. It'll be dealer's choice at that point. If I change guitars, which may not happen because if I'm going to be in open tuning, I want to change guitars. I could. I could change to acoustic maybe. So if I drop a pick, that's a sip. If I drop a thumb pick, that's 2 sips. So that's some of the major ones. If I leave the room, that's a sip. If I don't realize what tuning I'm in, that's a sip. And that probably won't happen because we are specifically talking about tunings. So those are some of the rules of the drinking game. I think there's 13 of them all. Gary is the attender of the list. Just checking everybody's thing here. Okay. And so he's unfortunately not been able to really make the 9 o'clock time, which I'm so bummed about. Gary, you're missed. I'm sure he catches it later. But I know he misses interacting with all of you. So it's my fault for moving it earlier. I moved it earlier begrudgingly because, yeah, Bruce, I'm going to do that. Yeah, 9 is 5 o'clock. That's part of the reason why I did it. I also thought maybe there's a slight chance that I might get some Australian viewers on New Zealand. I do get people from New Zealand and Australia on here every now and then, and if they're night owls, they might be up for right now. And then the East Coast thing. But the main reason was because I was going from 11 to 1 pretty much. I tend to go 2 hours, and without even realizing it. And 11 to 1 was tough because it was right in the middle of the day, and it made it hard to get something started beforehand, and it made it gave me less of a day to get things done at the end of the day. So I moved it up because I wanted to be able to try to get more done in my day. And there were actually, I finished that record, so that's good. But there was a record that was coming up, and I knew that we wouldn't have anything start before 11 o'clock, so I was thinking, if I move to 9 o'clock, I can do both the live stream and work on this record. But it all worked out. I don't think there was any day where I did a live stream and I did a session for the record. So. right, so let's get right to it. I'm sorry, get right to it in 17 minutes. So I'm in standard tuning, which is eat at Denny's, get bad eggs. Okay? And we're going to tune down. So we've got the Denny's get bad is already there. The D, G, B, those strings we don't need to change. So we're lowering 3 strings. So 1/2 of the strings we're going to lower, and they're all going to go down the same amount. And I'm going to get my snark tuner out, which I put a link to, so you can get the same one, this matte black. It has a metronome in it, which is like, what? Really cool. I was hoping it was like, it would do a pulse. It's just a light. So if you're looking at it, you can get a tempo, which is cool. I'm not, it might keep you in time if you were doing something, if you wanted to put it on there, but I'm not exactly sure, but I thought it was going to like create like a little haptic, as they call it in Apple world. I'm going to open this window a little bit, get a little light over here. Maybe that's too much. No, that's pretty good. And you can see the grain on the wood better this way. But it doesn't do that. I thought it would have been cool. All it does is blink a little light or something. So, I mean, yeah, because I think it would be hard to do that. It's really not. It would be this thing that would vibrate, and it's not. So this is the pitch out of control. Tempo. No, I'm not going to mess with that. Anyway. Okay, so we're in standard right now. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the low E string, we're going to go down to D. So we're going to loosen the string. So if you're looking down on the tuner, you're going to go clockwise. And again, this is a string. It's unlikely you would break this string. But if you happen to have a string that has a broken low E string, then grab that one, because we're not even going to use this string, really. I'm not even going to, I may reference it, but I won't probably use it in any licks we're going to do. It's, my documents are in Tom's, I think it says Tom's bookmarks, is that right? It's Tom something. Yeah, it's Tom's bookmarks is the documents. Let's see, can I share that? No. Yeah, so I can invite you again. Here's the invite. So if you click on that, I'm assuming that's, and then it's Tom, it's got like a hashtag thing, or a hash brown thing. Tom, does it say Tom bookmarks? Or Tom's bookmarks? Tom's bookmarks. Yeah, so that's where I will upload this in particular document as well, that I'm going to show you in a second. Okay, so we've tuned the E down to D. We're tuning the A string down to G. Less gainy amp. No. That seems more gainy. All right. Okay. And now we leave the next 3 strings alone. The next 3 strings alone. Well, you might have to adjust them. Because when you do loosen the tension on strings like that, particularly a whole step, when you go down on your 2 lowest strings, you go down a whole step, it's going to change the tension on your neck, and your other notes. The G string went sharp. And then the B string went sharp too. And now we're going to take the last string, the E string here. We're also going to take that down to D. So again, we're loosening the string to get down to D. It's a whole step down. It's not too far down, but it was quite a bit of turning. And then you go back and just fine tune everything, because again, you're changing the tension on these strings. It's going to change the tension on the neck, which is going to change the tension on all the other strings. And particularly, it's going to be maybe a 3 tuning process. You're going to have to retune 3 times if you've got a whammy bar. Okay, if you've got a Strat with a whammy bar or something like that, it's going to definitely need to be recalibrated every a few times before you can. Now, just to reiterate some of the techniques we talked about, I like playing slide with my fingers on my right hand, so that I can mute strings that I'm not using, because I don't want a lot of noise. Okay. Now, if I'm doing that kind of thing, you can let everything ring out. But if I want to get certain notes. Now, this is not the easiest guitar to play slide on, because I've got it set up kind of low. Generally, you're going to want to have a guitar with a little bit higher action. If you have a lot of kind of cheap electrics lying around, you can designate one specifically for open G. The Dan Electro back there, I had it set up for years as a Keith Richards guitar, so I had no low E string on it, and just had the 5. And I mean, it's great because with this tuning, you can. You can get that Keith Richards, which we'll talk about. We can talk about that too. This is less about the open G tuning and more about playing slide in open G. Okay. It doesn't matter. Vito's asking, so for my first electric, should I get a whammy bar? Or a tremolo. Whammy, when you say whammy, I think of like an Ibanez guitar that's got this woo dive bombing whammy thing. If you're probably gonna, Vito, you're probably gonna buy something used, something cheap, the cheapest thing you can find. That may be, something with a whammy bar on it, and that's fine. It doesn't really matter. A Fender or even a Squier, my Squiers all have tremolos, but they've got like 3 or 4 or 5 springs on them, so they're pretty solid. So that it doesn't really, you may never use it. I use a whammy bar a lot, and so that's why I'm kind of a Strat player. But I don't use it to dive bomb. I use it to kind of create vibrato on a chord or sustain on a single note. Or I may use it for effect sometimes. You've heard me use it, so we'll talk about that another time. But yeah, no, it doesn't matter. But if you get like a Les Paul copy like that, like the painted Epiphone on the back wall there that looks like it's a gray, multicolored thing, but you get something like that. And I think I paid $80 for that one. That doesn't have a whammy bar on it, so that one is Sopar, so it is kind of noisy like a Strat. But tired. Go and use the shipping. It's $200. Oh damn. Yeah, I'm assuming there's no store near you. Are you out in the boonies? Oh, Jan's here. Hey, Jan. So, okay. So now we're in open G. Okay. And I'm basically playing the top 5 strings. I'm trying to avoid that bottom string. And the notes we have are G, D, G, B, D. So we have a root, a fifth, a root, a third, and a fifth. John, 100%. Yeah, everything you know about guitar is now worthless with a new tuning. But usually you do a tuning for a purpose, okay? And the reason the tuning, everything is thrown out the window is because you don't even have a window. So, because this is a G chord. Like I said, I saw Dolly Parton play on Johnny Carson with nails this long, and she had the guitar. She actually was tuned to like open D and then down a half step. So she was tuned to, I think, open C sharp. Like she was, and then she just went like that. So yeah, there. In scales. They're more like banjo scales. When I think of open G tuning, like I learned scales on banjo because you do runs, but you don't typically play scales on a banjo like you don't play them like that. That's how we play. But in banjo, usually you're doing. Let's see, what would it be? Something like that. You're actually playing the note above the next pitch on the string below, and then back and forth. So you do E, G, C, D, or C, B, A, G. Yeah, banjo scales are really weird. So I wouldn't worry about learning. I wouldn't worry about having to relearn scales or even chord voicings because you can't really play a minor chord here. A minor chord would be like this. You're not. It's just not. That's not why you're in open G. Okay. This is why you're in open G. Okay, or this is why you're in open G. That's why you're in open G. So yeah, don't worry about learning new chords and new scales. Just enjoy open G for what it is. And you're gonna probably in open G, you're gonna be what I like to call idiomatic. You're not idiotmatic. That's just who I am. I'm idiomatic. Idiomatic just means that you're playing what is intrinsically ingrained in that instrument or ingrained in that tuning. You know, it's like with. I'll give you an example. When I play mandolin, I leave a mandolin. A lot of session guys will tune their mandolin like a guitar, so they can just play. They can pick up a mandolin, put down a guitar, pick up a mandolin, and they can just pick up where they left off. I don't like to do that because all the idiomatic cool things about mandolin, the tuning in fifths, all go away when you tune it like a guitar. So all the fun about mandolin is gone, and so I like to leave mandolin tuned that way. And so that's what I mean. There's a lot of idiomatic fun things about open G, okay? And so what I want you to do is I want you to grab the what I'm going to call the bottom three strings, because I'm going to pretend like this string's not here, but basically the fifth, fourth, and third. And if you play those, you get a nice fat G power chord. It's a G, a D, and a G. And if you go to the third fret, you get a B flat. And then you go back to G. Go up to the fifth fret, you get a C. Now, who was John? Okay, John, you did ask a question. Do I need to learn new scales? No. But what you should learn is one thing, and that is all the notes on this new tuned A string, which is now a G string. So this is no longer A, it's G. This is no longer C, it's B flat. This is no longer D, it's C, okay? So if that you need to learn, because that will be all you need to know to be able to get to a C chord, to a D chord, to an F chord, to another G chord. Like I said, this action's a little, and I got thinner strings on it, you know, like lights on here. So I should have, I should have tried out that. I should have put new strings on that, but I wasn't even thinking. I'll just take it off the wall. It was so nasty. It was like squeak, squeak, squeak. You guys would have been like, it would have been torture. So yeah, so don't worry about learning new chords or scales. Okay, just learn the notes on the string. We can do it right now. Here's G. Second fret is A. Third fret is B flat because that'll come in handy. Fourth fret is B. Fifth fret is C. Go up to the seventh fret, there's D. Ninth fret is E. Let's see, 10th fret is F. And then 12th fret is G. F sharp is here. But you're probably not going to play an F sharp chord. Well, you might if you want to get that Hawaiian sound. Okay? It's all major chords. I mean, that right there kind of reminds me of Leo Kottke. I'm not sure why, but he did stuff like that. So, 23 watching. We're getting there. We're getting there. We got up to 40 on Friday. I was shocked. It's like a slow burn. I don't know what the deal is, but yeah, we're kind of 20's okay. All right, so I like to hear the sound of my own voice anyway, so it doesn't matter. So the one cool lick you can do is hit the open G power chord, these 3 strings, hit the C and an open G, and then the B flat, and that's the George Thorogood thing, right? And if you really want to make it fun, you can slide into that C, slide into both, and then go up to the 12th fret. And you don't need to be super precise. I gotta take off my ring because it's clicking against the. I'll lose weight, I guess. All right. Okay, and that's not really in any key. That's just I'm touching my face. Okay, we can take a sip. Cheers. I think you're right, Avita. Christmas is always a good time to ask for a guitar. So. All right, so there's that lick. Okay. Now what I want to do, we're gonna. So, like I said, if you know the notes on the bottom G string, you know where all the major chords are. Okay. And so we have the B flat here, we have C here, and here's D. And so here's where the advantage of open tunings is you don't have to mute unused strings as much, right? When we were in standard tuning, sometimes we'd hit a bad note because the strings were in. But really, if you're playing over a D chord, none of these notes are going to be bad. Even the bottom string, that's the 5th. Yeah, AJ. Tuesday is also a good time to get a guitar, right? What day of the week is it? So, and the one thing you can practice doing is play bar across and make that D chord, like Keith Richards would. We can talk about that too. It's just not talking, that's not slides. And then slide the slide up to it. Try to get the same pitches. So again, you're going to be putting the slide pretty much on top of the wire. Now, some people put the slide on the 3rd finger, totally fine, okay, on the ring finger. I'm not going to do that because I don't want it to get stuck. Even this one is a little tight. And then this slide is, it's a Dunlop glass slide. This is basically what Dwayne Allman used, but it was a Coracine pill bottle. This is a copy of that. You can find the original ones in all different shapes and sizes for probably like $100. Maybe the actual, like this shape might get in the $200 to $300 range if you want to have a vintage Coracine bottle like Keith used. I mean, like Dwayne used. But this is totally fine. I've never played with a real one, a vintage one, so I don't think there's much of a difference. But it'd just be cool to have. If I found one at a Salvation Army, a thrift store, an antique store, and they didn't know what they had, then for $10, and that would be $10 cheaper than this one. This one was about $20 because it's a little bit thicker glass. I like the thicker glass. And then I also sometimes use a Craftsman, although for this setup, the Craftsman's a little bit heavy because my action's too low on this guitar. Not the best guitar. I should have gone to open A, but that because then I have more tension on the strings and they wouldn't be so squishy. So I'm struggling with that a little bit right now, but I'm going to try to one whole step each. Yeah. Two half steps or 2 frets, but 1 whole step. So this is a whole step. Here to here is a whole step. This is 2 whole steps. So I tuned the E down to D and the A down to G and then the high E down to D. Okay? Let me check that tuning. And often what happens when you tune a guitar, say your guitar's been in standard for a year and you tune it to open G, it's going to take a while for it to settle, so you're going to have to check it every now and then. But the great thing about slide is that I can play slide on it. If I can hear myself, I can play slide on a completely out of tune guitar. At least play single notes. Because you're constantly tuning with the slide. All right? That's why I say sometimes check your work. Hit the D chord like this, the 7th fret. And then make sure. And then again, vibrato, which is a little tough to kind of get down at first. And vibrato, usually what I'll do is I'll start out with no vibrato on a note and then add it within a second. Or less, maybe a half a second. It's just like a human voice would. And it kind of hides a multitude of synths. Okay, so the little jam track I have, I'm going to go, again, I'm just going to use the D part of it here. So I'm just going to have a D chord. Okay, that's what we're going to jam to. We're going to stay with one chord. Let me turn that off. It's annoying. And then, you know, it would be really annoying. I could literally put a 10-minute video up of that jam track, just slow D7 jam. It's really annoying, but you could practice for 10 minutes your slide playing. It might be kind of handy. So I may do that at some point. I just hate for people to get notifications that I uploaded a new video and then they click on that and be like, oh. I mean, if I were really, really like, I suppose if I did it right and like played rhythm guitar for the whole 10 minutes and then maybe played real bass and kind of moved it around and changed it, that would make more sense, because then it would be something like, oh, okay, this is a jam, but it's not a loop. Like, it's not literally a 2-bar loop for 10 minutes. That would be kind of sad. But anyway. So, yeah, slide on a banjo is one of those things that can work. Why am I hearing my phone? I do have to keep my phone handy. Oh, it's just my kids. Ignore them. You just heard Pete Seeger say, "What are you doing?" Yeah, that's funny. I have a 6-string banjo too, and I have tuned it to open D, open G. Yeah, I mean, I can play 5-string banjo kind of, although last week I had to turn down a recording session. I hate to do it, and it was for a new composer, and I hate to do it, but I had him send me the music, and it was too hard. I literally, it was a cartoon, and it was like probably 8 sections of banjo, like little. So they were actually fairly easy little snippets. It wasn't like I was asking to like shred for 3 minutes solid. It was some of them were sections were 10 seconds long, maybe 20 seconds at most. Typical cartoon kind of what's called a cue, a little piece of music. But one of them was ripping fast and it had a. I mean, I don't even know if I could have played it on a 6-string banjo. But I did not want to change banjos midstream. Like I wouldn't want to play the 6-string on everything, because the 6-string tone. I mean, I'm sorry, the 5-string on everything, and then pull out the 6-string for one. So I have a friend that's a very good banjo player, and I'll probably follow up with an email, make sure they got what they wanted. And they really appreciated that I was willing to recommend someone rather than do a bad job. So I have a feeling the team will call me back, but we'll see. I don't know. So that said, okay, I told you I have a diagram that I'm very proud of, so I'm going to add it now to the Bum, 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 to the lives, to this window here. Let's see, where is it? It's on my desktop. YouTube, live stream stuff, open G chart. Okay, check this out. All right, so this, don't be too, I'll put it over my face. This is, look at the middle here. You see on the 5R, 5R, 3, 5. Okay, that's the same thing as the, see, the reason I use letter names, or I mean numbers instead of note names, is because this is movable. So wherever that is, there's your, you can see your root, the R's are the roots. You can see that is this. 5, root, 5, root, 3, 5. That's the middle of the diagram. And you'll see the notes we can use are, every one of them are a whole step below or a whole step above, except on the B string, and that's a half step up. So what I did was I took basically the bar, you can see the bar there too. You see that little, the black line underneath the 5. I'm really proud of this. So, there you go. So I've got the root, the 5th, the root, the 3rd, 5th. So everything that you can, so much you can use over this, and all these notes represent all the notes in the D mixolydian. Well, in this, if we're playing at the 5th fret, okay, I'm sorry, the 7th fret, these would all be D mixolydian notes. So the root would be D. If you look over to your right, to your left, the root would be D. The 2nd would be E. The 3rd is F sharp. The 4th is G. The 5th is A. The 6th is B. And the flat 7th is C. A C, yeah, I'll post it to Discord. Patience, Bruce. Okay, I can do it now. Okay, I'll do that now. So if you want to print it up, that's not a bad idea. In fact, I'm already on that page. So here we go. Uploading. Okay, it's there. And so that I uploaded. We can sip while I upload. Okay, so the cool thing about it is that basically you've got notes that you can play with that you know, are right 1 fret or 2 frets down and 2 frets up. And this is one of those moments where, you know, I'm tempted to say there won't be a quiz on this. However, I do feel like this is all really good information to know and to visualize. And you could transfer some of this to standard tuning, but it would be, and I think about this when I play in standard. You know, I do licks. I try to get, that's one of my favorite licks, everybody's favorite licks to do in open G. And I can do it in standard if I go down to here. See, but it's just, that's really far, it's a lot of real estate to cover with a slide, 4 frets. And so much easier in open G. Now this gets to the Keith Richards thing. Because when Keith is playing like a D chord, he's playing it like this. And I'm gonna check my tune. He's just using his index finger and then he's messing around in front of it. And so what he'll do is he'll throw on the 2nd and 3rd finger like this on the 4th and the 6th. So what he does is he's creating a 4-6 suspension over this D chord. And sometimes he'll do a 2-4 suspension, so it'll go on the 2nd string and the 3rd string. Sometimes he'll just do the 6. Sometimes he'll just do the 4. And sometimes he'll go out to the 7th. Like that. And I didn't write the 7th out there. Okay, this is the same 7th that's down there. Okay. But you'll see that every note in the D mixolydian is represented several times. The D is the root. Look how many R's there are here. We got 2 R's, okay? E is the 2. How many 2s do we have? We have 1, 2 of those, 3 of those, because we have one here and one down here. Okay, the 3rd is an F sharp, and we have 2 of those. No, we just have 1 of those. Okay, that is the one that's like, and that's the major, that's where you get your major tonality from. So that's a really important note. That's what makes it a major chord, is that F sharp. And then the 4s, we have a 4 on the 2nd string, and we have a 4 on the 4th string, and we have a 4 on the bottom string, because the 5th is here. So technically, if you go down 1 from any of those 4s, you're going to get to a 3rd. This one we already know. Sorry, let me get the, I don't have the text up. Here we go. Oh, Snake is still here. Awesome. Yeah, the Discord link, here, click on this, Snake. Is not, I don't think it'll create any harm. It'll give you the option to join up. It's basically like an online forum, like a live thing where you can chat. And we keep it really kind to everybody. We don't get, don't be a jerk. Don't pick fights, but don't have a too strong of opinion. It's just guitar, for God's sake, you basically, a lot of times the chat will continue there or start there before I go on. Sometimes I will post there to say I'm not going to be able to be on today or tomorrow. Sometimes, and then I always post any documentation that I create, I always post up there. So if you go to the tab, if you join up and you go to the tab that's Tom's Bookmarks, you can see literally 100 PDFs and diagrams and things like that. Probably to 100 easy. And those are all supporting. I mean, this is lesson. In fact, I don't have the right lesson number here. It's actually 113. So this is the 113th lesson I've done since the COVID lockdown. Okay. So yeah, Bruce has got you covered there. So you can see where, Keith is using, and no matter where you move this chord, this 3rd string is going to be the root. That's the root of the C chord. That's the root of the B flat chord. There's the root of the G chord. I mean, that's the cool thing, the really, really super duper cool thing about this tuning and the Keith Richards methodology is before I knew about open tunings, I was trying to play Keith Richards stuff and I was doing this. I understood that. Whatever, right? But I couldn't hit the E string because it would be this note. And that's not what he was doing. And then when I realized he was doing open tuning, I realized, oh, that is dope. Because when you play this 6th here, and you play the root, and you play this 4th, and then you got a 5th on top, that is a chimey sound. And you get that root down here. You get that 4 and 5 against each other. It just sounds so good with the 6th in there. The guy was a freaking genius. And it was like, it wasn't like early on. I don't think he used that tuning early on. It wasn't until like the 70s tones that it became the Keith Richards tuning. I mean, maybe he used, I'd have to look it up and see how early Keith Richards, he might be one to look at for strumming patterns. I still haven't done any more videos on that because I just haven't, one thing, people like the John Lennon one, but nobody tuned into the Neil Young one, which is kind of a drag. But this week is a little bit more open. I got to do some writing. If somebody's not working for me, then if I'm not working for somebody, then I'm working for myself. So, but this week at this point, although I did just get a thing for a movie last night that I got to listen to today and work on. It's a new film, so it should be a lot of fun. It's an adventure film. It's like I think it's The Rock. I think it's the new Rock movie. So, yeah, it's just super cool, Vito. It's a suspension. It's such a cool thing. Okay, but you can also realize those notes. Oh, here it is. Why did I put it way over there? You can also realize those notes when you're playing slide. So you got this going. Those are all notes above the slide. And those are, sometimes easier to see those notes. And again, I'm using my finger technique so I can mute strings I don't want. This takes a minute. It's not easy. It may take you a while to get this down. Okay? But where the fun comes in Open G is when you start playing below. You slide into it. So you got the flat 7 to the root, you got the 2 to the 3, you got the 4 to the 5. That's like when I do that, I'm hitting the top string in the fifth, but I'm hitting at the 7th fret. I'm sliding down. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, I forgot about that song. I'm sliding down to the 4th of the chord, which is at the 5th fret. And then I'm hitting the 2nd and then bringing it up. And then I'm going down to the root. Okay, let me put on the jam track and I'll jam for a little bit and then you guys can just be wowed by my mastery. I'm such a jerk. Okay. So I'm just going to stay all in this diagram right here, okay? Sorry, I got out of this. There's that power chord. I'm hitting essentially the bottom 3 notes, the 5th string, the 4th string, the 3rd string. And again, notice I'll maybe hold it solid for a second and start doing vibrato. And again, the vibrato does several things. It makes it sound more like a human voice. It also hides any pitch issues you have. If you're a little flat, a little sharp, it doesn't really matter because you're moving both. You're going to both of those. And it also helps sustain the note longer. So if I just go, it's going to fade. But if I go, it's going to last longer. So a lot of reasons to get your vibrato down. And it's also kind of, I guess a 4th reason would be, it's a good fingerprint for your style. Your vibrato is going to be unique to you. Now I do like doing this. It's going to be out of this diagram. Out of this diagram. I'm still turned around still. Out of this diagram, okay? So I'm actually going to go up to one more fret up here. So when I go up there to the 10th fret, I'm playing here. 10th fret, this is the 7th. I'm playing the 5th and the 7th. Such a great sound. And there I went. 10, 9, 8, 7. So that's a really cool thing. That's that chromatic movement. From the 3rd to the 5th and from the 5th to the 7th, you get that nice 4 notes. And then you do them together, it's magic. Now, dobro players will often tune to Open G, but they do it GBD, GBD. So you would actually have this and here too. I won't do it because it's pretty tight on the, well, I mean, I'm sure that I could get this up to a B and I could get this up to a G, but I'm not going to recommend it because I don't want you to break strings. And this is the classic electric open tuning. But the cool thing was if you had that tuning, you could do this down an octave. It would be right here. But that's not the same thing. Again, there's that C note, that 7, that flat 7. So sweet. You don't want to land on the root too much. It's nice to land on the root because people then, oh, he knows what he's doing. Right? But if you land on the root too much, it gets a little old. So you got the 3rd, which is the 2nd string. You land on the 5th, which is on here or here. The 4th string or the 1st string. And when you play the 1st string, you don't have to lay the slide down. If you're just going to play on the 1st string, you can angle the slide like this. See? I'm not laying it down flat. I noticed that, gosh darn it, I always forget his name. Derek Trucks does it a lot. Not Derek Trucks. Yeah, Derek Trucks. Yeah. He'll even do like I said, he'll push on the fret and fret it out, which is you've always, when you're playing slide, you're always told not to do that. And then also another thing, if you're playing over a G chord, realize where the D strings are, because we're an open G tuning. We've got 3 D strings. There's our root, and here's our root. Don't forget that. So you can use that. Hear that? I'm actually fretting with the slide. That's something that Derek Trucks said, and I went, oh, dang it, that's so freaking cool. I'm brilliant. When he did it, John Mayer was like, I was like, I love that moment. See, you got that low D. It's a little boring if you don't change chords, obviously. So I'm going to go ahead just for a minute here and play with both chords, the A chord and the E chord, the D chord. Ah. So it's like the most magical moment. Okay, hold on. Oh, we only got 20 people watching. Come on. All right. There's the A chord at the 14th. And you can play up high too. The A chord is here, the 14th fret, and the D chord also is up here, the 19th fret. And then, you know, when you get into it a little bit deeper, it's hilarious. I'm assuming you're watching, you're paying attention because nobody's chatting. But when you start to dig in a little deeper, then if you can start to realize, okay, if it's going to change to an A chord, what are these notes in relationship to the A chord? And that will help you come up with licks without having to go, here's D and here's A, here's D, here's A, here's D. You can find A licks down here, okay? I was trying not to do that just because I wanted to just stick with this shape form. But if you realize that all the R's are D's, and there's no D in an A chord, there's a C sharp, you can take all the roots down to C natural, or C sharp, okay? Or you can take those flat sevenths up to C sharp, and that's going to be the third of the A chord, which is here. Okay? If you realize there's no F sharp in an A chord, but there is an E, you just go down a whole step from all the F sharps, all the threes in the key of D. You go down a whole step down to the 2, and that's the fifth of this A chord. Okay, so these numbers would all change if the chord changed. The other one is the A, and the A in the D chord is in the A chord, obviously. So you're good with the A's. So if it goes to the A chord and you're on the D chord, you're on the D chord. Boom, the D chord's jamming. And then all of a sudden the A chord comes along. You can just hit that fifth of the D chord. That's the same as the root of the A chord. And that's where knowing theory, which is always, whenever I say there won't be a quiz on this, and I guess you could take a sip. But whenever I say that, it's because I'm talking about something that is maybe a little above where most of you are. And my goal is always to point out the theory in things. Everyone uses theory even if they don't know it, okay? Because things work and don't work for a reason, and if it works, there's a theory to explain why it works, and there's a theory as to why it doesn't work if it doesn't. So you're using theory whether you know it or not. But knowing it to me is a shortcut. You have trial and error, or you can utilize some theory and go, oh, okay, I can take this F sharp down to A, and I know that's going to work over the A chord. In fact, not only that, if I know that this is A and this is G, if I know this is E and this is G, then I know I got the fifth and the seventh over the A chord. So that's kind of gold right there. So check this out. So over the D chord, I got this. And that sounds great over the A chord. And I'm just right there. That's an E and this is a G. And then back to here. Okay? And Jay, I understand 100%. That's why I always say there won't be a quiz on this. Basically, what I'm trying to do in that statement is relieve you of the responsibility from having to understand it. What you'll realize if you watch me on a lesson by lesson basis, if you go back and watch 112 lessons, or you just stick with me from this point forward, you're going to hear me say that a lot. You're also going to hear me repeat the same thing a lot about theory. And then what'll happen is the fifth time or the sixth time or the seventh time I say it, a light bulb will go off and you'll understand it. Or even better, you'll apply it. Or even better than that, you'll teach it to someone else. And that's really, when you're able to simplify something as complex as music theory to a point of getting someone to understand it, that's when you'll truly understand it. And I'm not thinking a lot of music theory when I'm playing, but I am thinking chord tones, which is music theory. If the song is A7 to D7, each of those chords has 4 notes, and knowing what those 4 notes are, and then knowing your fretboard, and that's the first thing. Of course, obviously, when we're in standard tuning, that's what I'm talking about, is learning your fretboard that way. And it's not that difficult. Who was it that was asking me about that? Do I have to learn the whole neck again, or do I have to learn new scales and everything? Who said that? Oh yeah, John. I don't know if you're still there. John asked that. And, hey, Michael, sorry, I just noticed you. Michael Neal. John asked, and my answer to that, of course, was no, because you're using open G tuning to play like George Thorogood. You're using open G tuning to play like Keith Richards. You're using open G tuning to slide, to mess around with a slide. You need to learn licks in that. You need to learn how to play a Keith Richards song or a Stone song or something like that. But you don't need to learn all the scales. None of that. None of that needs to be learned. Zero. You will discover stuff, and that's the thing. Basically, just have some fun with it, and you'll discover. Yeah, and you figure it. Jay says when I figured out the 1-4-5 thing. Yeah, it's again. Yeah, and a lot of times like you can see the 1-4-5 in there, and you're like, okay, these numbers. The reason I'm using numbers instead of letter names for notes is because I want this to be able to work at any fret. And so if you can see that at this fret, this is the root fifth, root third, fifth, or here, and you're an F chord at the 10th fret. You got the root fret, root fifth, root third, fifth again. And here's the fourth. Okay. You start to find little licks in there that work and everything, but knowing a little bit of theory can help. And then this is, like I said, the numbers are just so that you can transfer it to any position on the fretboard, and it all applies. Now, obviously, if you're in the first, second fret, you're not gonna be able to slide down easily. So this works great, when you get to the third fret and forward. But I don't even like to play the A chord down here. It's really far down. My hand tends to go like this, which creates really weird pitches. I overcompensate. So if I'm going to do an A chord with an open G tuning, I'm probably more likely to go up here. So, all right. And then, so what I think I may do on Wednesday with this is we'll go back into G tuning, open G tuning, and then I'll talk you through slowly some of these licks I've been doing. I was showing them to you, but I'm probably going too fast for some of you or a lot of you, and because I'm so amazing. So I'll show you some of my favorite licks in open G tuning, and then maybe I'll get to some of the trick licks, and those are more difficult. But so if I do that, then I have to come up with something new to teach on Friday. So we'll see. I mean, I could do open D and do the same. We could talk about open D tuning, which is be more akin. I think that's primarily what Dwayne Allman used, and Derek Crux uses. So, but I could be wrong. All right. Any questions? Any questions I can answer about anything? Generally, best if you keep it to guitar related. I don't want to give you advice on life in general. So, you got any questions about gear, anything like that? Happy to talk to you about it. Vito, you're looking to get an electric guitar. The thing about a Strat, I feel like one of the advantages of making the Strat your first electric guitar is I feel like it's a pretty versatile instrument. So you can get a lot of sounds, and then having that tremolo, if you want to use it, isn't a bad thing. The only downside to the tremolo regarding open tuning is it takes a little longer to get to the tuning because as you loosen strings, the bridge goes this way or whatever, and it ultimately starts to change the pitches of all the other strings. So you have to basically go through the strings probably about 3 times and you're golden. Whereas on a Gibson guitar where you've got a fixed bridge, you can almost go through it once and be good. I still had to go through it probably 2 or 3 times because it had been in standard tuning forever. And so I touched my face so we can take a sip. Everybody take a sip. Yeah, hey Joe, it's Circle of Fifths. You're right. And Circle of Fifths is a chord progression that would often show up in the middle of jazz tunes. It would be the B section. The song, a lot of jazz musicians would, use as a progression. I think it's the progression for, is it Confirmation or Donna Lee, or variations on the song Indiana would be done. I think so. It kind of was this rhythm changes. I got rhythm changes, and then the B section would be the circle of fifths. It's kind of cool. So, and let's see what else is going on. Yeah, last week was really cool. I got to finish work on that record. So I did 5 tracks on the new Marco Antonio record, electric and acoustic. I mean, I played electric. I played electric sitar. I played ukulele. I played steel string. I played nylon. I played 12-string. I played baritone electric on it, and that was going to a studio. So I had to bring all that stuff. It's a kind of a pain, but I brought it. Not because I was asked to bring it, because I will, if they say electric, I'll bring 4 electrics, and then I'll bring maybe 2 weird things, like a bass 6, or a baritone, or the electric sitar, or a high-strung electric, or something weird, maybe a lap steel. I'll bring 2 extra things, just in case. I go, well, what about something like this? And they'll be like, nah. Or they'll be like, oh, that's cool. So that was fun. And same thing with acoustics. If they say they want me to play acoustic, I'll bring 3 or 4 different acoustics so we have different flavors in case one guitar works better with a song than another. And then I'll bring like a high string or a 12-string, a dobro maybe, or a resonator, or even a mandolin or something like that. It's easy to throw a mandolin in the back of the car. And that way I have some, I'm a one-man band. That way I'll have some, options if they go, oh, what, do you have any other ideas here? Because I think a lot of times I get called more for my creativity than my guitar playing ability, to be honest. So Rick, you can use, I did if you watch the first video we did on Slide, which was, what number was that? 108? Let me look it up. Boom, boom, boom. Oh. Save. Sorry, give me a second. I got to go back to the videos. Here we go. Blues scales. Intro to Slide 109. If you go to that video, I think I can grab a link to it here. I talk about a lot of different slides, but I'll give you some, so that's a very good question to have here, because we're talking literally about slides. So I was using this Dunlop slide. It's a copy of a Corseedon pill bottle, which is what Dwayne Allman used. And I will give you a link to this. And anything you buy after clicking on this link, I get like a percentage of. So feel free to click on this link and then go shopping. But it's a Dunlop slide, and there is an actual model number on this. It's 274. I'm dyslexia. 274. And this one is a thicker glass. They have cheaper ones. This one's about, well, it says $16. It's not bad. So I'll give you a link to this one. Okay. So this is the one I was using. I like it. I like it in my studio. It's just always here. I don't take it in. I've broken 2 of these now in gig bags. You like shopping? Okay. Well, go crazy, Rick. And give your wife the link too. Piece on Nashville tuning. Yeah, I could do that. I actually have several videos on that. Let's see. Let's look at some other slides. What was the one I got that was this done preaching pipe? I got this one. This is the one I put in my gig bag. Okay, so what was happening was my favorite slide I didn't really have a favorite slide, but then I got into slide, and I picked up. So that is the preaching pipe. That one's brass. And that one I have in my gig bag. When I got into slide, I really liked this glass slide. And so I put it in my gig bag, but it was a soft bag. And then, of course, it's in the back of a van or it's in the back of my car, and somebody puts an amp on top of my guitar or anything, or the case falls over or whatever, and then I go to reach for the slide and it's broken. It's cracked in half or whatever, shattered. Now I got broken glass in my case, which is never a good thing. So after breaking 2 of these, I decided to stop doing that. And I was also using this a lot. And this is a Sears Craftsman 11/16 socket. And these things are not expensive. These are like $8, or not even. I think they're like $5. They're a little on the heavy side. So it makes it hard if your action is low and your strings are light. You're going to have a hard time not fretting out, which is one of the things you don't want to do. But if I pull up Craftsman, I can give you a link to that. The great thing about it is if it ever breaks, they'll replace it. I've never broken one. 11/16 socket. So this one is, I think, it's this deep one, I think. This looks like it. You can, and the great thing is you can go, like if you go to this page here, you can see, you can choose different sizes. But you go to Sears or any hardware store, and typically the way they have these displayed, if they have them displayed individually, there's a plastic thing that sticks in it, and then it's like a hanger thing. So it's just hanging there from this plastic display thing. And so you can literally take it off and start putting them on your pinky until you find one that feels comfortable to you. When I did it originally, because Sonny Landreth for a while was using this for a slide, but when I did this originally, went to Osh to look for one, people were looking at me funny, like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "No," kept picking up different ones, and they look at me like, "What are you doing?" So that's when you become that adult. Say, I'm buying a slide for guitar. I'm talking to a stranger. Okay. Let's see. What are some other slides? So you can get I have a bunch of slides. You can get something like a bottle neck. Okay, this is actually, I don't think this is a real bottleneck. I think it was made for that. It's too straight. Maybe bottles may be that straight at the very top, but not all bottles are. They're more tapered. I've got various glass slides you can get from Dunlop. These are kind of, these are 3 different lengths. Papa Bear, Mama Bear, Baby Bear. Okay. The model, and I can post links on these too. The small one is a 218. I just bought them all because I felt like 218 is the short one. I wanted to just try different ones. Yeah, these are cheap. 218 is only $4, and it's short. This one here, but it's still enough to cover all the strings. It actually is a little bit easier to use than I feel like. I actually like this better than this one here, to be honest. For some reason, it feels a little more secure on the strings. Now, I'm still not used to the radius on this guitar because I've never played slide on this guitar. But like I said, there's a long one here if you really want a long one. And the heavier it is, like you go with thicker glass, it's going to have better sustain, better tone. It's going to get thin. I've got a little skinny one that I bought somewhere, and it's just weenie. It feels weenie and it sounds weenie. But yeah, you can get even skinny ones. And then there's these kind that if you want, you can. Technically, they're supposed to be good for if you want to play guitar and then you want to slide. You got it there. I've never really mastered this, but you can get that too. Let's see. But here, did I give you the link for the 218? I don't think so. So you can click on any of these, and again, do all the shopping you want. A copper pipe fitting, yeah, I do have a piece of copper. It's got to be pretty thick, though. If it's too thin, like this is a saxophone mouthpiece cover. And I got this from the sax player in my band in Indiana because I needed a slide for a song, and then I got it, and I don't know that, I think he just gave it to me. It's a little buzzy because it's really, really thin. See how thin that is? So copper, I have a piece of copper somewhere, but I don't know where it is. But you can just start collecting them. I mean, at $5 for these, it's worth, ordering a few of them to have, just to go, to find out what you like. It's hard to find, because they're going to be in packaging in stores. So you're not going to be able to go to a guitar store and try 17 different slides. The bottleneck one, actually, I use this quite a bit. Now it's a little tight. I guess the nuances, the subtleties in the tone aren't going to transfer through YouTube. But I'm going to leave this one out. I kind of like this one. So I'm going to leave this one out if I need slide this week. Oops. And so I feel like, this diagram to me is, I put it on the Discord so you can download it and print this up and have it handy. But it's not too much to ask you to memorize the notes, the fact that you've got you've got notes that are below this shape, 2 frets down. All those notes are notes you can go to and come back from. And then it's not too much to ask you to memorize the same thing going up, except one string. I'm not asking you yet to memorize the 2s, the 6s, the 4s, the 3s, the roots, all that stuff, the flat 7. You don't necessarily have to memorize that yet. Just memorize that, okay, if I'm playing over a D chord, the thing I do want you to memorize is the names of the notes on the G string. Hey, Leo's in the house. So there's the D chord. And once you know that that's a D chord, then all those are, and again, we're talking about D mixolydian, which is D major but with a flatted 7th. That's why I put flat 7 up there. I think this diagram looks cool. I did this for you guys. So, but yeah, and if you want to take it to the next level, then memorize that this is the flat 7th, this is a 2, this is a 4, and you're going up to the root. So, but start with these notes first, the root, 5th, root, 3rd, 5th. Memorize that those are the root, 5th, root, 3rd, everything. And here's the other thing is, as far as learning your fretboard, John was asking, do I need to relearn, learn scales and chords? And I told him no. Most of your information is good. If you've memorized all the notes on the neck, it's not a whole lot to just subtract one whole step from whatever you know, okay? So like, if you're playing, if you end up picking up the guitar and you want to do licks in D, if you stay on the middle, if you stay on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th string, nothing changes. So all your licks, it's when you get down below that, those notes are not going to be the same. So you're gonna have to maybe make an adjustment. So that means anytime you play the other strings, you're going to have to go up 2 frets from where you normally would. I'll give you an example where accidents happen that are really cool. For one thing, I was in open D tuning, and I went up to the 12th fret, and I went. Now that should have sounded like this, which is virtually impossible to play with this tuning. Okay, but I ended up getting. This note here is still here, but I was getting a double note, so it was like I was getting a da da da. It was like a redundant thing. And I thought, well, that's cool. And I could also go down a half step with my pinky and get this. So I took a standard rock and roll lick that I'd done a million times, and it took on a whole nother vibe accidentally by playing it in open G. Now if I go back to... Now that doesn't really do any good if you never tune to open G. So what I did was I realized I could get that note. Now that's not easy. But occasionally, if you want that sound, you can get it. So sometimes messing around in open G and playing standard licks will yield some really cool, interesting effects and different voicings that you would never ever have come up with. And then it's about reinventing it in standard tuning. Like, how did I get that sound? What was? You know, I wouldn't do like multiple repeats on that. So here's the lick I was trying to do. But in open G, it sounded like this, which is like an exercise. But then I moved that D note down to C sharp. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, you can get a lot of blue, you know. And you know who's really, really good is RJ Ronquillo. If you check out his channel, he's got much better lessons on slide than I could ever do. He does a lot of open tuning stuff. Like for that kind of Delta blues, he's really good at that kind of stuff. That's not my forte. And RJ, if you see, I can give you his channel. I'm giving away. I'm like losing subscribers to him all the time. No, I'm not. Let's see. But I subscribe to him, so it should come up right away here. And he's a super nice guy. He's really funny. And he's really into Hendrix and like a lot of cool stuff. He's a cool guy. He's much cooler than me. Like, it's not even quantifiable how much cooler he is. And he's got more subscribers than I have, which he didn't used to. He didn't used to. Copy. And I was always saying, man, you should have a lot more subscribers than you do. And then he passed me. He got to 100. I've still got a ways to go. It's going slow. Let's see, where am I at right now? Dashboard. 255. So 82,844 in the last 28 days, new subscribers. So that's cool. But at that rate, it's going to take me another 2 years to get to 100,000, which is kind of depressing. I need another one of my videos to take off. The 7 tips is still my biggest one. And so, you know, but it's waning. It's weird too, because I would think if I liked someone's video on YouTube, then I do a deep dive on their channel and see if there's other stuff I like, but I don't sense that people are doing that so much. I think the highest we've gotten here is 26. We haven't gotten many people today, so. Okay, so let's see. I can tell you guys a quick story. I'm bummed that Diane's not here. See, we're missing Diane and Gary. So, you know, I think my new time kind of jacked them up. You know what? I should probably, let me edit this here. Can I make a bowl? Regular. Cool. Okay. Yay. I think that looks a little bit better. I was telling the story at dinner the other night. It was cracking up the kids, but basically, Beth, back in '97, I was doing clinics for '97, '98, '99. I was doing clinics for Maranatha Music, traveling all around the country. I was doing like 12 a year, I think. I averaged 12 a year. Maybe I did exactly 12 each year. And they would normally put us up in like a Hilton or like a Hyatt or a DoubleTree was pretty standard for us. We wouldn't. I mean, unless we were in like I remember we stayed at a motel, like one of those really long motels, and that was really cool because I learned something. I think the guy that was managing the motel was really smart. Should have been an executive at Hilton or something. But that was for the Allentown, Pennsylvania. Because there were no in Allentown, there weren't any real like Hiltons or not that they could book. They were booked up or something. So, but we got to Kansas City. They booked the Kansas City one, and Beth and the kids were in Indiana, and so I thought Beth was pregnant, like 8.5 months pregnant with Emma, and it was kind of our last like little hurrah, like last time alone before we have 3 kids. And so Beth was in Indiana and left the boys with her parents and then flew to Kansas City to meet me. And I was often the designated driver for Maranatha because I would study the maps. Like I'd go to AAA and get a map of every city we were going to, and then I would study the main freeways and just memorize the main arteries so that I could find our way around if I got lost. Oh, as long as we get on the freeway, I can get us back to wherever we are. We call them freeways in California, but I know they call them highways everywhere else. Sorry about that. And so so I go and pick my pregnant wife up at the airport, and the van was a Dodge Caravan. And the thing is when I went to pick it up at the airport, when I got there to pick up the van, they always had prepaid and on their American Express card. Corporate Express card, and they did not have it there this time. So I was like, my card that I was using a lot because for the cash back in the day was like the first card to do that. I was using the Discover card, and I didn't know the Discover card had coverage, but it did on the rent-a-car, which was cool. So because we needed it. So I pick up Beth at the airport. We get to the hotel, and by the way, the hotel, the Hilton was booked, the Hyatt Regency was booked, the DoubleTree was booked. There was something going on in Kansas City, so all the hotels were booked. Maybe it was a Chiefs game. I don't know what it was, but it was everything was booked. We couldn't get room, and so. Maranatha booked us at the Hyatt Regency. I'm sorry, at the Ritz-Carlton. Super nice hotel. So that was perfect. So Beth and I have 2 nights away from the kids, just to chill. And of course, I had to work, but she could just kind of have some time because she's going to have 3 kids in about a month, and it's going to be a whole nother level. So it was a time to kind of recharge a little bit. Let's say. Of course, when you're 8.5 months pregnant, I don't know how much recharging you can do. So I pick her up at the airport. I get back to the hotel. I get in the parking space. We get our bags out of the back of the caravan, and I slam it down, and the door goes like it won't shut. It like bounced back out. I'm like, what the deal? So I put it back up and I slam it even harder, and it just bounces out again. Like it won't shut all the way. It's like leaving this gap. I'm like, what's the deal? And I try it a third time, and I go, it's like, what is going on? And I didn't realize there was an air pocket being created. If I left one of the doors open, it would have shut no problem. And then I could have shut the door. It was a design flaw. They probably should have put some kind of like air pocket remover, but it was creating this air pocket inside the van. And so Beth hips the door. She hits it with her hip and dents the door. Dents the back door to this caravan. As if she's not feeling fat enough, being 8.5 months pregnant, she totally destroys it. Rental car. No, not totally destroyed, but it was a big dent, right? And so I'm like, well, we'll deal with that later. Kind of almost for me, it's like I struggle with those kind of things. So little things bug me more than big things. Big things you kind of you kind of show up and you kind of have to deal with it. But the little things are the ones that kind of dig at you. And so I had to kind of let it go. And we went to the front desk, and they already, this is a Ritz-Carlton, so they already know. Your name and stuff there. And, oh, how may I help you, Mr. Strahle? Oh, well, nothing. I'm just checking on my wife. I want to get her a key. And yeah, we just accidentally dented the van. And oh no, really? The manager was like, well, let me see it. I'll come and see it. And he grabbed a plunger and he went out to the van. And this is the manager of the Ritz-Carlton. He comes out and he's trying to pull the dent out, like pop it out, right? And it's just not working. God bless him for trying, though. And it was funny because we were staying at the Ritz-Carlton, and I've stayed at them before, but it was at that moment that I realized that all the employees at a Ritz-Carlton get paid an extra $1 an hour just to laugh at your jokes. You get in an elevator and you say something stupid, and they're like, "That's very funny, Mr. Strahle." So that's, but it's worth it. It's worth the extra $300 for the room. So I go to the clinic. I'm teaching the clinic. I think I did an hour and a half electric clinic, an hour and a half lunch clinic, or an hour and a half acoustic guitar clinic, like 9 to 12 kind of thing. And then we took an hour and a half for lunch. And at the end, I'm telling the story. What I would do is I'd say, hey, look, if you want to order pizza or something and have it delivered here, we can do that. I'll talk for another hour of the lunchtime if you've got questions, And so sometimes, they would do that. Well, I happen to mention that I don't know that I said Beth. I think I avoided saying that Beth dented the van with her hip, but I mentioned in the class that I dented the van last night. I'm so bummed, at the rental car. And it was a guy who said, well, hey, I own a body shop and I have all the tools in my truck right now. Show me where it is. And so during lunch, we went out to the parking lot, and he came, he said, oh, this should be easy. So he went to his truck and got the same plunger, but instead of being like a plunger like for a toilet, this one, some of you might know, was like black. It was bigger and it had a handle on it. So he pushed it in like that, and it didn't pop out. He tried it several times, different angles. And it's like, and I'm like, that's, don't worry about it. It's fine. No, I got this. So he pops open the hatch. He pulls off the panel on the inside, and he gets a screwdriver from his truck, and he takes, it's one of those screwdrivers that has the screws you can change to different things. And so he just takes it out so it's nothing. He puts it in one of the holes in the back panel and starts tapping, right? Tapping, trying to pop that out. Like he's trying to pop it out. And it's still not popping out. So he shuts the hatch, and not only do we have a giant dent going this way, but we have 1,000 little pock marks coming the other way. So he made it completely worse. And it's like, it's not like I can go, well, don't worry, you take it to the shop and get it to me on Tuesday. Like I'm leaving Sunday morning. And I think I had to take Beth to the airport, and then I had to, or something. I don't know. Anyway, that was, glass for it's for carrying purposes. Yeah. So I guess body shop guys will use it to pull out dents. If it pulls out that way, it's like, fixed, done, boom. And usually there might be a crease, but sometimes some cars will pop. I've seen them do it where it pops right out. But this Caravan, it wasn't designed that way. The metal was probably too thick. It wasn't that cheap of a car. And so the good thing was when I got it back to the dealership, I filed a report with Discover, and Discover paid 100% of it. And then, of course, Maranatha reimbursed me for the charge on my card because they were embarrassed that they hadn't paid for it in advance, that I had to use my card. But I'm like, I don't care, because I got if it was $400 or $300 or whatever for the van, I got, $3 cash back. So just work all the angles, Avito, you're asking if a drumstick will work. I've used a drumstick for the problem with a drumstick. You're going to need to find something harder. Capo might, we did this. You can it's got to be harder than a drumstick would be. I don't know if I have a piece of wood. You can go to your local junkyard and find something like this. Now, this would not be easy. This is, I don't know why I even have it, but it does sound kind of rustic. But it
would be, you know, a solid piece like this is more for playing lap steel, and this is like galvanized steel, so it's very coarse, which makes it kind of sound scratchy, which is why I have it. But usually I'll use a slide like this. And this is solid also. But yeah, a drumstick probably wouldn't work. Wood is just going to be too. It's going to absorb too many of the vibrations. It's going to kill the sound. So that's probably not going to work. A sponge is not going to work. Okay. Now a crank for a auto harp might work because that's stainless steel. You know, it's pretty solid. So yeah, you're going to need for slide. You're probably going to need something that's. You might go to your dad's toolbox and see if he has one of these. Okay, we'll do some more licks on Wednesday, and again, if a steel pen, yeah, a steel pen might work. The original slide guys used knives, so if you have like a switchblade or like a pen knife, like maybe a Swiss Army knife or something like that, the big blade might work, but then you run the risk of cutting your hand. So I don't recommend that. Alex has a little slide that he puts on this finger and that you can use, you know, and still play. A wedding ring is too narrow to use as a slide. Get harmonics with it, but yeah, it's not optimal for a slide. A microphone. I've used 57s or 58s, Shure mics for a slide. Again, you kind of have to hold it overhand, and you can't mute behind because your hand's busy holding it. But oh, you're trying to get that same one as Alex? Let me see if that's on Amazon. Finger slide guitar. I'm trying to figure out what. Like the short ones. I mean, you can get crazy. Like you can get into like Blue Lagoon Company makes these. Where did it go? Here it is. You know, really pretty slides. Like you can get into all sorts of different. This is ceramic. So check this one out. A little bit more on the expensive side. You're gonna be looking at over $20 for some of these. So that's a good slide. I don't have one of those. I should order one of those just for fun. I'm trying to find one but that company, Blue Lagoon, they make a bunch of different slides. I'm trying to find one that actually, what is this? This is kind of cool. Guitar slide brass. What the heck is this? Okay, so here's something here this I've not seen before. I may just add to my cart just to keep an eye on it. It's a little expensive. It's $32. But all right, let me go back to it. Oh, come on. I'm going back to it. Okay. So check this out. This is called a jet slide. And this is one that you can have on your hand, and then if you need it, you got it. Now, I don't know. Caveat emptor, buyer beware. This one, I don't know. I've never seen one before. I've never used one. I've never seen anyone use it. Probably what you want to do is look for videos of people using the slide. But this is one that they imply that you can, and it looks like, I mean, I'm not seeing it. Oh yeah, it looks like you can adjust the tightness. So you can make it really snug or really kind of loose on your finger if you want. Oh, and they even have a little lip there so you can spin it around with your pinky, I guess, is kind of the thing of it. So that's called a jet slide. But that's still not the one that Alex had that you're talking about, Leo. Yeah, they make. Joe Perry has one, the Boneyard slide. Uh, here's a Shy slide. It's only $7. This one is. I think the idea of this one is that also you can. I mean, we could do a slide shootout at some point, but I'd have to order a lot more slides. That's similar to what Alex had, but it's still not quite right. I could ask him what he had. Kebmo has a signature slide. Dunlop has a bottle slide that, like the Coursine bottle that's yellow, one that's red. Those are kind of cool. Might be easier to find if they're not on stage. I don't think Dunlop makes that small one, so I'm kind of on the wrong page. Oh, yeah, here's the Shub. Oh, I didn't realize it was Shub. This is the one that I was playing. No, I didn't play. And it comes with a bunch of different sleeves, so you can customize it to the size of your finger. Okay, this one. So here's the. I didn't realize it was Shub. That's funny. Maybe I got it at the NAMM show, but it's this one. Where are you? Dang it. Oh, here it is. This one here. Okay, so you can play guitar, if you want. Oh, and then it's pretty cool. The thing is, I've got the wrong size finger hole on it, but it comes with 4 of these, or 3 or 4 of these, so you can slip one in that actually, and it spins on that. So I'm holding this solid, and it's just spinning. So that's nice. So once you have one that's really tight, then I imagine you can use, like if you put it on your ring finger, then you could use your pinky to spin it around. I don't know. I never really spent the time to master it. It would take time. But that's one. But Alex still had one that was smaller than that. That jet slide thing is kind of weird. I don't know. I don't play slide enough to justify it, okay? Like if I were in a band and I played slide on a lot of songs, or on, then I would have something like that I could play rhythm and then go to the slide. Slide, tarnish slide. There's, there's so many people making them. Now, here, Will Ray, slide. Yeah, I remember this one. Now, the problem is they don't have any. But it says available from these sellers, so maybe they're used. Oh no, here's one. Okay, but it's separate. You don't get free shipping from these sellers. So that's okay. So this is a Will Ray. Will Ray was one of the members of the Helicasters, crazy chicken picking guitar players. Okay, so so I'm giving you all these crazy Amazon links. But that one is not. Yeah, that might be similar to what Alex. I don't think Alex has that specific one, but it's very similar to what he has. It's amazing to me how many different slides there are. To be honest, one of the things it's a super duper easy thing to manufacture and market. So here's one that looks like a piece of wood, but it's stone. And this one is $15. I'm not recommending polished agate stone guitar slide from Tone from the Stone. Interesting. Doesn't have size options, but it kind of looks like a piece of wood, but wood would not work. In fact, they've got it photographed on a piece of wood, which I think is kind of weird. I think it would have popped better if they'd done a better photograph, my opinion. All right. But yeah, you can just click on any one of those links and they'll make 400 recommendations for other slides. So it's not like your hunt for this perfect slide could go on and on forever. All right. And I didn't really talk about slide on acoustic. I don't have a guitar. I mean, yeah, that's the one thing I may talk about is maybe I'll do talk about lap steel. Somebody, Leo, I think it was you asked me about how do you do the bend behind the slide. So we can talk about that. I'd have to I'll get my lap steel out because that's the best way to do that. Yep. Bruce is nailing it there. Yeah, exactly, Bruce. Yeah, wood is not dense enough. essentially. It's just going to absorb all the tone. You know, one thing I wanted to do is I have this. You know, and when I did the video on capos, I forgot about these. I haven't used these yet. I gotta try them. They're called fret locks, and basically what they are little things you put under the frets, under the strings, and it'll hold the string down onto the fret. It's really weird. I gotta look into the. You know, I've not really done anything with these. It was kind of an invention idea I had, and then Alex found that they already came out. He always says that. It's like, if I say, oh, I need, you know, I should invent this. He goes, oh, it already exists. I don't see it. But basically, I found a thimble, and oh, maybe it's in here. But it was like a ceramic thimble. It's really cool. And I thought, oh, I could use this as a. Oh, here it is. I thought I could use this as a pick or a slide or something, right? I mean, literally, this little thimble here is. I don't know if it's dense enough, but. Oh, I unplugged. Groaning like an old man. It's really not dense enough, but I wasn't even thinking about it for slide. I was thinking about it more for like, oh, it'd be cool to have. Goes like in. So I thought, oh, I should have bought 4 of them, so I have one on every finger. A little cleaner. Anyway, yeah, so something like that would be kind of fun. Yeah, I would like to get a hurdy-gurdy. I've been shopping for them. I thought that maybe I'd get a kit one. I'm not big on making things, but I'll have it delivered to Bruce, and then he'll make it for me. This is the first Bruce is hearing about it. I think I can get a kit for a hurdy-gurdy for like $850 or something like that. I've seen some Chinese ones for like $1,200, $1,300. But dang, get something from China and then have it be a piece of garbage. You know, I hate to do that. So, I will definitely get at least one new instrument before the end of the year. There's a couple things I want to get. Well, the 3 things I can think of: a saz, and I probably get an electric saz, which is a Middle Eastern instrument. It's actually Bruce. A saz is almost exactly a cigar box guitar. It's almost the exact same thing, and it's funny. But the tuning's very odd. I mean, the frets are very odd. And then also a Greek bouzouki. I'd like to get a Greek bouzouki. I have an Irish bouzouki. It's hanging right back there. But I really probably should get a Greek bouzouki for some scores and stuff that I might work on. And then but the most likely one, or the one I would use the most, would be a Weissenborn knockoff. I'll probably just get a gold tone. My Irish bouzouki's a gold tone. They give me a little deal. If nothing else, they'll sell me a factory second for a really good deal. So if I reach out to them, because I don't care, it doesn't need to be perfect. If it's got a flaw somewhere, I'll reach out to them and say, hey, send me your flaws, and I'll do it. But yeah, so the Weissenborn, which is kind of a lap acoustic slide guitar, that's probably the most likely instrument that I will get. I'm trying to think of if there's anything else. I mean, I've got lots of ukuleles. I got the balalaika last year. That was last Christmas. And then the other thing I might do is, if I have some amazing idea for a new electric or something like that, a new stringing or something like that, I may pick up another Squire and do that. But I love. I love doing weird tunings and stuff, and coming up with pop song ideas. So I may, go, oh, I need another guitar tune that way, because I just like to leave them tuned that way. Like that guitar will always be tuned that way. There's no reason to change it, because I have a million of those cheap Squires. Kodo, the problem with the Kodo is it's really big. In fact, last night I was emailing back and forth with a composer I work for, and he created a bed with dulcimer, and I told him, not dulcimer, dulcimer. And I said, oh, I just got a chromatic dulcimer, and he goes, oh, is that the hammer kind? And I said, no. The problem with the hammer dulcimers is they're pretty big, right? So I don't mind, you get the table, you set it up and everything, but it's not something I can leave set up. If I move and get a big studio, like one of the houses we looked at, my room for my studio would have been probably 6 times bigger than this room. That was the room we were going to use for the studio. The problem with that house is it was just over the hill from a shooting range. So literally from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day, you hear AR-15s and shotguns and rifles. And I've gone to that range with the boys, and we've shot like some serious guns. And you go outside and you hear pop, 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 pop. Inside, not so bad. In fact, inside that room, I could not hear the guns at all, except barely. And I noticed that one of the windows was single pane, and I'm like, well, that's an easy fix. If I replace that window with a serious window. But there was a lot of other issues with the house. It was in an area where it's prone to fires. In fact, they got evacuated again. It's prone to windstorms and prone to floods. So I just didn't. I'm not hardy enough to live in a place like that. Oh, fun and light bulb sort of hardy car lesson today. Thanks, Charlie. What were we talking about? Kodo. Let's see. Oh, I wasn't referencing any song, Vito. I was just writing an idea, pop song. The tuning is basically root 2, 1 1 2 tuning. So no one's ever tuned like that before. It's just me. Yes, just get rid of the pool. You're probably right, Dennis. Or I could move to the bonus room and move there. Because I would have a pedal steel set up. Like if I had a really big room, I'd probably leave I have a lap steel, giant lap steel. I'd leave a lot of stuff set up all the time. They'd end up being tabletops, which is sad, But like I'd love to have a hammer dulcimer that I could just sit around, mess around with. I think I'd come up with some really cool ideas on it. I actually did do some thumb piano on a documentary for this composer. And these were actually kalimbas that my mom brought back from Africa back in the 80s when I was a kid. Actually, probably in the 70s. She brought me these totally legit. This one's even less more noise than pitch. So this one's kind of a piece of trash. She bought this one originally, and then she saw this one and went, oh, this one actually works. So then she bought this one. Pretty amazing that she brought all this stuff back for me. Because she also brought back this shaker, which who knows what kind of dead bugs are inside this thing. I don't want to know. And then this thing also she brought back, which can be used as a range stick, but it actually wasn't played that way. It's supposed to be played like this. And it's really loud, and you can hear it. So these are all really cool. I mean, the coolest thing about them is that they have the memory that my mom, thought of me when she was in Africa and brought them back for me. So that's really the coolest thing about them. But I had them for years. They've been in boxes, and then I got this call to do harmonica. I can't play harmonica. Oh, look. I do have a switchblade. So, like, if you had a knife, I don't know if this knife would be, I don't think that's not going to be enough density to really create a tone on the guitar. I had a harmonica. Oh, here it is. So yeah, I just have a harmonica D. Actually, so this, see, I can't curl my tongue up. About 50% of the world's population can curl their tongue up on the side, which allows you to play one note. So I can't. I can only play two notes. But I might do something like that on a, might do something like that on a soundtrack. Like if I just need a little bit of D, it's super, super duper easy to do. Yeah. Oh, a whammy bar. Yeah. I could see you could use a whammy bar for a slide, especially the one I have on my, my G&L is pretty solid. It's stainless steel. In fact, it's stupid expensive. I think I had to pay $30 for a new one. Less likely, at some point I'll get out the harmonium. That I'm more likely to use as a accordion. I mean, I've used it as an accordion and I've used it as a harmonica, but it's basically blow into it and play it like a keyboard. So I have one of those. I don't. It's packed away somewhere. I probably should get it out. But I don't have, my office isn't big enough to have everything out, which is probably a good thing. Yeah, harmonica. And again, I can't curl my tongue, and somebody's going to create a screenshot of that. I can't curl my tongue on the sides like half. See, Beth can, like my kids can. So I think half of the population can't do it. But that makes, oh, sorry, buffering. We look good now. Hey, Peroni. Long time no see. But anyway, that's, yeah, it's, so I've never really got into harmonica, but it's a really cool instrument. So, all right, I'm going to log off. We will probably we'll work with this diagram next on Wednesday. And if I can't I'm pretty sure my schedule's pretty open this week. I mean, I'm working on a lot of things, but it's none of them, I don't have to go anywhere. If I have a deadline that I have to get done, then I have to do it. And that would delay the broadcast. So, and again, I'm sorry to Diane and to Gary for moving my time and making it so you can't watch. I'm bummed about that. So, good. Oh, I'm glad, Peroni. Anyway, we'll talk to you soon, and I hope you're all doing well. God bless you. Stay safe and have a lot of fun and enjoy playing slide. Enjoy playing an open D or open G. It's a lot of fun. Okay? Take care. Bye-bye.